Postdoc Transformation. Postdoc Transformation. Postdoc Transformation. Invest in your postdoc transformation. Welcome to the seasonal show for scientists leaping into business. In every sponsored episode, we are happy to recommend employers of choice for you. Make sure to check your readiness to leap out of science with us for free, as linked in the show notes. For your career transition, we offer customized career transition e-courses and memberships also at graduate schools all over the world. Maybe yours too. And if your university isn't yet our customer, enroll in your free email course for career transition made simple, as linked in the show notes. I'm your host, Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, with my team who is rooting for you. And let's build your postdoc transformation with this episode. Welcome, dear postdoc transformer. Today, I have someone from down under. That is Dr. Belinda di Bartolo, and I have found her for you because some of you have asked me about how do I do that with motherhood in science and everything, and I was like, well, I cheated a little bit, and Belinda's experience is far worse than mine. So I'm not talking about myself, but instead I will let her do the talking about her experience being a mother in science. Belinda has always been working with academics and STEM professionals to elevate their careers. She has founded also her BD STEMM Strategies based on her 20 years or more experience in research labs, leading people, scientists, but also having 3 kids. And you can find her story also in the blog article that I will link in the show notes. So without further ado, welcome Belinda di Bartolo to the Postdoc Transformation Show. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you so much for having me. This is so lovely. I am a mother of 3 children, and I spent about 20 years in academia before moving on into an industry role and then starting my own business. So being a mother in science is a tough gig, and it's a lot of hard work, but I'm really happy to be here and to talk about everything that's happened in my career.
Perfect. And maybe just to give you sort of like a teaser into that, I see that the corona crisis had been different for many people. Some of them were impacted more or less. And as a mom with 3 children, and one of them was a baby during the corona crisis, I think that really sheds a light into your ideal customers. And you said you have a business, so who are the people who benefit most from your service?
Yes, the coronavirus, COVID-19 really did change things up for me. It was the beginning of a revelation into what I really wanted and what I really needed in my career and in my life as a mum. I really started in academia thinking that my job was number one and my kids had to just move around that, and I had to just weave them into my career because I didn't work that hard to stay at home and give up everything I'd worked so hard for. I went back to work very quickly after having kids in Australia. That's very quickly for us is only after about 6 or 7 months. But I wasn't putting my career on hold just because I had children. I could do it all. Absolutely, I could. Why not? COVID really highlighted to me that what I wanted before wasn't what I wanted anymore. My youngest was 3, so he wasn't quite a baby, but he was still in childcare. And I really decided during then that I was done, that what academia was providing me wasn't making me happy, that my family came first and I had to put them first. And so I made those that worked out really well for me. My ideal clients, who are mostly academics and are mostly women in STEM, and some, not all mums, but most. And a lot of these women are looking to know how to elevate their career. Not all of them are looking to transition out of academia, although about 50% of my clientele are, because they've had similar revelations and they really connected with my story that I decided was time to speak about. after COVID and let people know that that's why I was leaving, that there were multiple reasons. And I was very tired of it being a hush hush problem that nobody wanted to talk about. So it was time to be honest. And one of the things about me is that I'm very honest and very blunt. I've been called too blunt, too honest, on many of an occasion. But I actually think that hiding things and being secretive about the struggles that academics and that mums go through actually does everyone a disservice. So my clients are very much academics that are looking to make a change, whether it be in their academic careers or whether or not they're looking to transition out of their academic careers.
And once you have determined your readiness to leap and want to transition into business or industries, then you can enroll in your free email course with 10 actionable, bingeable email lessons until you start your job in business. You'll get 10 emails like this. Number 1, how to leap out of science. Number 2, how to build your sustainable LinkedIn profile. Number 3, how to read social media and network. Number 4, how to research your favorite jobs and employers. Number 5, how to do informational interviews to get insights. Number 6, how to create your customized applications with ChatGPT. Number 7, how to prepare your thesis from a business point of view. Number 8, how to apply to your favorite employers. Number 9, how to choose the right job offer. Number 10, how to prepare for your new job. Thank you so much, Belinda. I really embrace your openness because I also think we need to be direct. I cannot tackle a problem that no one talks about or no one wants to see. So we need to talk about the problem, and the problem is different for women, for mothers, and maybe it's also intersectional. So if you don't have many relatable role models that have gone through that the same way and can share their experience, that really is making a huge difference and makes it hard for us to find our ways. So I love that you are now providing career guidance for those who seek that. And what kind of problems do they have typically? What are the triggers that they experience and then solve with you?
Yeah, a lot of academics are feeling unloved, overworked, stressed, and unhappy, or they're really just looking for more. I think a lot of scientists forget, especially when they're climbing a career ladder, why they were doing this job in the first place. A lot of people get into science because they love the science. They want to get in the lab and they want to do the research. But as we're encouraged to apply for promotions and to write grants and to lead teams, we're suddenly sitting at the computer and we're not doing science anymore. And it's a transition that a lot of people just go with, and it's fine. A lot of people are happy with it. But there are a lot of conversations I've been having with many people who miss the lab and who no longer want to be on this track of climbing an academic ladder. So I think that there's this trap of no longer doing the job that they love. I don't know if there's a solution to that problem, to be honest, but those wanting to stay in academia need to adjust their mindset a little bit and start treating their career like it's a business, and they need to build their personal brand. That is something that I have been talking a lot about with academics who wish to remain in academia and who are just looking for a way to elevate their careers. Those wanting to leave academia or transition into a different role, they need to understand that they have so much to offer. This is the biggest problem I have with these clients, is that they come and they say, I want to leave academia, or I want to move into industry, or I want to do something else, but I don't know if I have the right skills. I can't do all the lists on the job description. And my job, and what I'm enjoying doing, is showing academics specifically how much they have to offer, because their skill set is vast. And it's so amazing how we don't realize it as academics, how much we take for granted. The skills that we amass in academia is incredible. We can do so much. And that's what I'm really enjoying doing with my clients now, is showing them how valued they can be in a world outside of academia.
Oh, that's where our mission really is overlapping, because I really think that the research experience that we have gained in the lab, at the bench, and whatever, but also supervising students when you're still a student, just one degree ahead of the other. Sometimes it's just one semester ahead. And sometimes I don't even know how I do my own experiments, and now I should supervise them to do their own experiments. So it's learning by doing, and teaching is a whole new avenue as well. And especially when we're talking about Corona and then the hybrid lecturing, the online lecturing and everything. So being an on-screen personality is also different to being in the lecture hall. From episode 1 and counting, I have proudly hosted all our Postdoc Transformation Show episodes on Podbean. As a former IT strategy consultant, I have high requirements on my tech stack, and Podbean is my perfect fit for a podcast host. If you want to create your own individual podcast or one for, internal upskilling and communications within a company, DM or email me Podbean so I can share my experience and consult you. You can also use my affiliate links for perks launching your own podcast with Podbean. Are you wondering how I do my videos and my podcast in my spare time? Well, Descript is the video and audio editor that I use, and I wish I had since day one of my Postdoc Transformation Show. Descript's AI-powered features make it really easy for me to create branded, long-form and short-form content for my TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, X, Threads, YouTube, LinkedIn game, and whatever it is. Since my first remote interview with international guests from all over the place, I fell in love with their newly acquired Squadcast feature. So all English interviews are transcribed with high accuracy despite the different accents of my guests, mine including. And best of all, I am editing words and not sound waves. They are constantly building new AI-powered features which have helped me to efficiently and effectively promote my business, Postdoc Transformation, and that's so invaluable as a working mom and active professor. So check it out with my affiliate link in the show notes for launching your own podcast, video show, or even B2B for your internal communication. So you were saying something about personal brand a couple of minutes ago. What is a personal brand for someone who hasn't heard of that? Because my clients also say, I don't want to sell myself into something like that. I am a high performer. That speaks for itself, right? So no, it doesn't. But that's where the personal brand is important. I want you to answer that question.
Absolutely. And personal brand is such a dirty phrase for academics. They really drink when they hear it. They don't want a bar of it. That's not why we got into academia. We didn't come into academia to sell ourselves. How dare you propose that we should be doing that? It's not about selling yourself. Building a personal brand is really about telling the world how awesome your research is. It doesn't have to be about you if you don't want it to be. It can be just about your research. But academics fall into this trap of what you said before, believing that our work should speak for itself. It doesn't anymore, not in this world, not in this landscape. It's changing so quickly, and academics and STEM professionals need to get on board. And building a really strong personal brand is essential now for standing out and making a lasting impact, even if you're still in academia, because it makes a lasting impact in grant writing. And granting funding bodies are going to look at your grant and say, actually, look at this person. They are making an impact in this area. And so therefore their research should be funded at a higher level than potentially someone else who isn't building a personal brand. While I understand that it is an unwelcome phrase in academia, I think we need to empower people in enhancing their own profile, whether it be as the researcher or whether it be just the research or a combination of the two. I think that's incredibly important. And I think that's the best way that academics can start leveraging their skills to become known, to become better, to just become a force to be reckoned with in the academic world and not get lost in the sea that is so many academics. This is the biggest problem. There are more people doing science than there is funding to fund the science. So if you can stand out, then you should, and you should try.
Yes, this is absolutely important. And I even teach my own bachelor and master students that they already have to stand out, because we are 30 people in the class and all of you graduate with the same degree. Maybe you have a minor and maybe you have a major and maybe you have a different work experience or whatever. You have some internships. But how can you propel yourself into a career based on your interests? Because they may differ in what you want to contribute as someone who is new in the workforce. So when we're talking about your personal brand and how you can leverage that as a scientist already, where do you think is a personal brand even more important while you are transitioning into industries? If you build a personal brand based on your science, not so much on your personality, because that is more closely to what we are socialized, which I understand as you do. Do you think that once we decide that we want to go into industry, then we have to change our personal brand or to add on an extra layer?
It's a good point. And yes, I do think so. I think you really need to up the level of personal branding if you choose to make a transition out, because your next employer, your next supervisor, or whoever it is, they are employing you and they are not employing your research. So by making sure that you are well known for whatever research you are doing, that is part of your personal brand, and it does need to come out. And a lot of the clients I take on don't have a LinkedIn profile, or they have a LinkedIn profile and they've done nothing with it. And LinkedIn is now becoming the most powerful tool when it comes to hiring, because that's the online CV now. And it's interesting, I signed up for LinkedIn in 2014, and just like every other academic, did nothing with it. And I was told at the time, why would you need a LinkedIn profile? Academics don't need to be on LinkedIn. It's only for business people. And back then, potentially that was true. Now, more and more academics are coming onto LinkedIn, and I think it's really important that they understand that it's a CV you have to cultivate on an ongoing basis.
And now it's time to thank Company ABC, who sponsors this episode of the Postdoc Transformation Show. I would now be reading the company's answers to one of 6 bold questions so that you can choose to apply. For example, number 1, describe your most valuable experts versus leaders in your company. Have they typically earned a doctor title? Number 2, for which of your company roles or units do you encourage somebody with a doctor title to apply? Number 3, how would you describe your organizational culture in which your most valuable experts and leaders thrive in? To nominate an employer of choice so that we can ask our informative, bold questions, let us know via the click on the link. If you are a company representative, like in recruiting and employer branding, and now you want your company to be highlighted as an employer of choice for our audience, you can become a sponsor of a dedicated Postdoc Transformation Show episode. Just click on the link in the show notes. And now, back to the Postdoc Transformation episode.
It's not just dump your CV on there and that's it. It is interact, engage. And I know it's a lot of work, and I know academics are busy, and it is hard. A lot of them say, but I have nothing to say. Okay, then say nothing. Comment on someone's post, share a post, be active, be engaged. Because if you are just showing up a little bit at a time, you will then discover that you do have a voice and you do have something to say. And you might just very well be brave enough to say it.
I love it. And I actually just want to undermine that. So I'm teaching my own bachelor and master students how to use LinkedIn. So within the lectures, I reserve a 3-hour spot to say, I can teach you my lecture, the script and whatever. But more important than the grades is your ability to promote yourself. And if you can't do this, you need to learn that. And I'm well aware that most of the professors, the faculty, don't use LinkedIn the way they should do, because they think they are scientists, just like you and I just reiterated. But the thing is, I actually recorded a session or an episode on that, why scientists should also be active on social media. And I really do think that even as a professor who doesn't want to leap into business, it's your job to enable your students the best ways into industries. And even if it's not your path, you should be not the gatekeeper. You should open up doors for them. And that means that I have to also be on LinkedIn. Hey, postdoc transformer, are you curious to ask professors, principal investigators, visiting scientists, postdocs, PhD students, and candidates some in-depth life and career guiding questions? But it feels cringe, so you end up not asking? Buy our postdoc transformation card game to have more fun and valuable insights in your journal club, lab, and mentoring meetings, lab rotations, during conferences, panels, and breaks at the Mensa. You'll get 10 intriguing mentoring questions per career level. So 10 for PhD students, 10 for postdocs, 10 for professors, 10 for parental scientists, underprivileged and underrepresented and underserved scientists. Check them out with our discount coupon on the Postdoc Transformation shop, linked on postdoctransformation.com. I mean, I have different reasons to be on LinkedIn, obviously, because I've always been in IT, in industries. But the thing is that for my colleagues, I'm telling you, you are doing yourself and your students a disservice. So even if you're not yet leaping as a scientist, build your own personal brand and do that with Belinda. All right. Is there any free thing that you help them with that you want to share here?
I offer a free 20-minute session with potential clients. They can come and talk to me about a number of things. I'm happy to help them and provide them advice and guidance. They don't have to sign up with me for any particular course or coaching exercise. A lot of them just want to be heard. I find they want to talk to someone who's actually put themselves out there and told their story and is talking about the pain points that exist in academia. And they're happy that someone said that. And so they're happy to just sign up and say, I really want to just talk to you about my next step. Would you help me? And so I'm very happy to have that chat with people. I'm happy to provide advice and guidance and, let them know that I'm available if they want to sign up with me and we can dive further into all the things that they need, or I will point them in the direction of someone else who can help them. Because it's not just about me gaining clients, it's about me helping, academics who need it. Because I feel like if people were more honest, maybe about all of these things when I was going through academia, then maybe I might have had a revelation a little bit earlier, or I might not have felt so unhappy for so long. I might have recognized how unhappy I was. And so I will have workshops coming soon in the second half in which PhD students and early career scientists can sign up to, because I also recognize that that's, that stage of a career, they're not looking for a career coach, right? They're looking for just guidance. So I will have those coming out in the second half of this year. But ultimately, yes, I just like to talk to people and help.
Okay, cool. And then we will also make sure that we will link to Belinda di Bartolo's website, that is www.bdstemstrategies.com, all in one word, and you can click on it on the show notes. Remember, you are a postdoc transformer. You are highly intelligent, well-educated, a bachelor, master, and maybe you have already your doctor under your belt, or you are a postdoc. You are internationally experienced, fluent in English, a leader and expert in your prior research field. You're resilient, brilliant in adaptation and problem solving. You are eager to bring in the transferable and monetizable skills needed in many companies to embrace the future and to become or remain an innovator in their markets. Have you found this episode so far helpful for yourself? Well, maybe you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or wherever you get our show. And also share this episode with your PhD bestie, because that would encourage us to help the underprivileged, underrepresented, and underserved early career scientists leaping into business. This would also ensure that you don't miss a future episode. Also, our subscription And listening numbers are key for finding the right sponsors for our show so that we can help you for free. And now, back to the show. All right, so before you can have a personal brand and before you can voice that out and, make that nice and everything and put that at all places, you have to be sure what you want for your life. So 20 years into research and then understanding that it's not what you want, that is a long time. And you said you had the idea of wasting that. I'm not sure whether that was a waste, but 20 years is a long time. So what are the questions that someone, a PhD student, a postdoc, should ask right now?
It's a good question. I also don't think it was a waste. I think it got me to where I am now, and I'm grateful for everything that I learned and experienced because it led me to here. I think if you're a PhD student or an early career scientist and you're going through the motions right now, I think it's hard looking back retrospectively, but I think you should ask yourself if you're willing to climb a ladder, if you're willing to be the professor, if you're willing to go through all the motions. And I think you need to understand what they are. And I think it's a hard question to ask themselves because my issue with that is that nobody teaches a PhD student what an academic career looks like. During a PhD, you are given a project and you are told to go and do it. And there is no education. I was having this conversation with someone recently about how this education about what an academic career looks like and how you should be treating your academic career like it is a business, this needs to happen even as an undergrad. Undergrads need to be taught how to navigate their career like it's a business. The second question I would encourage them to ask is, if you are choosing to have a family, can you juggle it? I hate the word work-life balance. I hate the phrase because it isn't a balance, it's a juggle. And I speak about my juggle when people ask me is that it's deciding which balls are made of glass and which balls are made of rubber. So which ones are you willing to drop because they will bounce, and which ones, if you drop, they will shatter? And usually, it should always be, the glass balls are your family. So ask yourself the question, because I didn't, and I should have. I put off my family because I was doing my PhD, because I was building a career. I didn't need to have kids yet. Now looking back, I kind of wish I did have kids while I was earlier on in my career because I think it might have been easier. But then again, it might have been harder. I have no idea. Ask yourself the question. Be brave, and ask it. I know it goes against all fibers of our being to say that we should have to do this, but I think you should ask the question. The last question I think a PhD student should ask is if they really enjoy the science. A lot of people do a PhD because they think they have to do a PhD, because they think it's a natural progression. And this comes back to my point before, in that there's no education at the bachelor's level that teaches them, you know what, you can actually go and get a career in an industry and still do science. You don't have to do a PhD. In saying that, PhD does help. A lot of industries and biotechs very much like a PhD, but you don't have to. You can get your experience in industry. Nothing says that you can't. So you need to be able to ask yourself that, right? Are you willing to come down and start again and retrain, or are you not? Do you like the science, or are you doing a PhD because you're told that you should do a PhD to get further ahead?
I built my postdoc transformation as a digital business, and I chose ActiveCampaign to be the centerpiece of all my services like email course, podcast, newsletter, show notes, website, sales page, merch shop, forms, whatever it is, as needed. As a former IT strategy consultant, I have high requirements on my tech stack, and ActiveCampaign is a must-have recommendation. I use it daily. If you want to create your own digital business with various lead magnets and funnel options, DM or email me ActiveCampaign so I can share my experience and consult you. You can also use my affiliate links for perks launching your own digital business. These questions are really deep questions, and I think that everyone should ask them themselves. And especially the one with a juggling career, I hate to say it, but most men don't even need to think about it. But we have to if we are the person who can become pregnant, because having kids starts already with pregnancy, and then it never stops. Right? So it impacts us differently. And I also teach biopsychology because I'm a PhD in neuroscience. And in that situation, I am very privileged to talk with male and female students about hormones. And also, I mention very openly that you can also do social freezing, so freezing the eggs to postpone the careers, because I often see women being career ambitious and postponers up until the age that they cannot get any children anymore because they have postponed so much. So instead, you should already think at a bachelor level, the career that I want to have, is it even reconcilable with having kids? Because Claudia Golden, she got the Nobel Prize, and she said there are greedy jobs. If you have a greedy job, or if you are looking for a greedy career, then you will have to find someone who takes care for the kids. And it doesn't have to be the mom, it can be the father. But you have to understand what are the opportunity costs of your career choice. And the glass and the rubber ball image that you just painted, they are crystal clear in the sense that whatever the glass ball is, it will break. Either it's the career or it's the kids. I don't know what you want to choose, but it's your choice. So when you look back at the things that you have experienced, what is an advice that you can share with a postdoc transformer who wants to leap into business?
My advice is to be honest with yourself and to talk to people. Build your network. I know people don't like networking and they hate the word networking, but it doesn't have to be the word that you don't like. It can just be talking to people. The more people you talk to, the more you find out things about different careers and different paths that people have taken. That is something that I learned when I made my transition. I talked to so many people to find out what was out there and what I needed to know and what people thought and their opinions. Be honest, talk to people, and be brave enough to make decisions that might be outside the norm. The biggest thing that helped me when I left academia was that I joined Mothers in Science. I volunteered as one of their social media people. When I left academia, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was very lost, and that was advertised. And I thought, I'm a mum in science, and I resonate with a lot of the journeys and a lot of what I saw them posting. So I've been with them since November 2021. And the skills I have learned by just being on board with their team, the people I have met from all over the world, and their stories just guide you along the way. So that is my advice to people. Just be open to everybody's journeys, be open to talking to people, and be brave enough to talk to people, but be brave enough to make a decision if you are unhappy. Life is way too short to spend it being unhappy.
That was a beautiful transition to Mothers in Science. That is a perfect way to talk a little bit more about Mothers in Science. How is it possible to work with them or to meet other people?
So I wish we could meet up, but we are based everywhere. So our founder is in France, in Paris, and there are people from all over the world. We are global. I'm the only one from Australia. There's someone from New Zealand. There's people in the US, in Canada, in Europe, Africa, everywhere. It's amazing. And it's such a wonderful community. We're there to support mothers in science and empower women in STEM and provide forums for people, for them to come and listen to things with advice, workshops, etc. So there's lots that women in STEM and mothers in science can get from this community. Come along to any of the SciMum chats that we put on. The biggest one is share your journey. So yeah, I encourage you, if you're a mum in science, to join as a member, sign up just to the newsletter so that you're exposed to what Mothers in Science have to offer.
Absolutely wonderful. And that's also how I met you, because I think that Share Your Journey was one of the hashtags that I found intriguing, because there were a lot of women who are also from the BIPOC community, and all of them had in common that they were mothers in science. But as I said, that it's sometimes easier when you come from a country where you have a role model system, in the sense that you have a long maternity leave and then you can come back to work being a little bit less exhausted than after 8 weeks after giving birth, which is the case in some countries. The first time I was working in the US, I was like, wow, so many women work and they have kids. And I was like, wow, they're strong. And then I found out that they have to. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm very privileged to live in Germany, where you can have a longer maternity leave than that. I did not choose one because I thought that I can do it all, but that's a different story. That's stupid on my side. But, things change, and you have to sort of understand that there is a cost to everything, and learning from other women may help you to not do the mistakes for yourself. And that's why I'm also encouraging all the women who are not yet mothers to network with those who are, so that you know what's coming ahead, so that you can make an informed decision, because it really is something. Usually people don't talk about that. Men do not talk about that because they are not even aware that there are problems. And women, sometimes, not you and I, but sometimes we are ashamed that we chose wrong and think that we have to just roll with that. But the thing is that there are systemic hurdles that we can only overcome if we advocate for ourselves. And that means that you know what is possible and at what cost. And that's why Mothers in Science is a great opportunity to learn how it can be and will be, and so that you will find the right role models, because I really do think being underrepresented, underprivileged, and underserved means that you have to find the different ways. Mothers in Science is a great way to learn. Do you want a transcript of our episode? And our episode sponsors answers to all 6 bold questions so that you can choose to apply. Do you want to nominate your potential employer of choice so that we can ask them our bold questions? For all of that, click on our links in our show notes and on our website, www.postdoctransformation.com. Remember to check your readiness to leap out of science and to enroll in our free email course, Career Transition Made Simple. Thanks for your attention. I'm Professor Dr. Eleonore Soei-Winkels, the host of your seasonal Postdoc Transformation show. Hey, you're still here? And you are a future HR or talent management leader? Well, I want to talk to you about a powerful tool that can transform the way organizations communicate internally. How about creating a podcast like this one? In today's fast-paced business world, effective communication is the cornerstone of success. So how can you engage your employees, convey your company's culture, and share knowledge in a dynamic, authentic, and accessible way? Well, to me, the answer lies in podcasting, obviously. So picture this, a podcast tailor-made for your organization, where you and your real employees and leaders share success stories and updates in a conversational, engaging format. It's like having your own radio show, but with a corporate twist. Absolutely branded. Now, why should you consider this as a future HR and talent management professional? Well, podcasts are accessible. So your employees can tune in during their daily commute, while multitasking, off-screen, or walking, and it's flexible and it can be easily repurposed in different formats and languages. You know what I'm talking about, right? So it actually humanizes your organization, and podcasts allow you to bring a company's culture to life. You can interview leaders, team members, and highlight what makes your workplace unique, and connect with those team members who are far away or on parental leave when they are most receptive for your internal communication. And in the era of AI-generated communications, a podcast with your business leaders in real life is a real human way to reach your employees. You can inform your people every day, everywhere, on demand and not just during the typical onboarding and promotion seasons. Lastly, it's a platform for continuous learning. Whether it's training materials, leadership insights, or industry trends, podcasts keep your team informed and inspired. So, as you prepare to step into the world of HR, talent management, and leadership, consider the impact you can make by introducing a corporate podcast. It's a game changer for internal communications and aligns perfectly with a modern work environment. So, are you ready to inform with a human touch? Create a podcast with me. I'm Eleonore Soei-Winkels, the host of the PostdocTransformation show. Do you need inspiration? Well, you can get a list of free 30 sample episode titles to be customized for your company. Just enter your email address on our company podcast form on PostdocTransformation.com. Postdoc Transformation. Postdoc Transformation.